Fred Katz this morning has mentioned in All-Star that the Knicks could be targeting this offseason, and I'm here to break it all down. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest, and let's get right into today's article. Fred Katz published an article on The Athletic talking about Devin Booker, Brandon Ingram, which stars could the Knicks target, and how would they fit? Now, before I dive into the actual order, just some of my thoughts, just some of my takes regarding Devin Booker. Devin Booker is definitely a top 10 to top 20 player in the league. He's 27 years old, so he's right about to hit his prime. And right now, the Phoenix Suns is a mess. It's a huge mess right now. The Phoenix Suns, they don't know which direction they should go. Kevin Durant is, I believe, 35. Kevin Durant is 100% a top 75 player of all time. But Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, who's injury prone, who basically barely played this season, and the Phoenix Suns were not able to get a good camaraderie. They were not able to build good chemistry between the big three of Booker, Durant, and Bradley Beal. So the Phoenix Suns, they're kind of in disarray right now. They don't know which direction to go. And on top of that, they don't have their first round draft picks because they give up pretty much all of them to get Bradley Beal. And one of the reasons Devin Booker's name is linked to the Knicks, you can take a look in the article right here. Devin Booker, if Phoenix ever chose to trade him, would become the obvious name for the Knicks. He is a CAA client, a member of the same agency that Knicks president Leon Rose once ran. And that's pretty much the basis of that Fred Katz is spilling to us as to why the Knicks and Devin Booker are nicked to each other. And I've always found it weird that players, when they're signed to a particular agency, and then you kind of connect the dots between a GM formerly working for that agency, and then maybe they like that player while they were there, so now they're forever going to be linked. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's kind of a stretch, but in today's NBA landscape, as far as news, as far as rumors being swirled around all over the NBA, everybody's going to try and find something to link a player to a particular team. But what makes this trade or what makes this signing kind of hard to make is the first apron and the rules that is attached to it. So in the article, Fred Katz states that there's actually a stipulation in the new CBA agreement that kind of isn't really getting enough attention, that's kind of being slept on. So for an example, in the article, Fred Katz states that if a team is above the first apron, it cannot take in more money than it gives out in a particular trade, which basically makes it impossible for two teams above the first apron to make trades directly with each other. And Fred Katz goes on to state that if the Knicks are targeting Devin Booker, that the Knicks would basically have to tear down their roster in order for them to avoid going over the first apron next summer. He goes on to say Jalen Brunson is going to be on a new contract, which is more than likely, and it should deservingly so, include a really big raise. Julius Randle, who's going to be a free agent at the end of 2025, is also due for an increase in his money. OG Anunoby, depending on what happens in this offseason, he's going to be on a new contract. Isaiah Hartenstein as well, depending on what happens in this offseason. Isaiah Hartenstein could be demanding more money. Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, they're all going to be making 8 figures. So when you take a look at just those players alone, that's going to make it really hard for the Knicks to target Devin Booker. So all in all, what Fred Katz is kind of saying is that the only way that those two teams can make an actual trade is that if they sent out the same exact money down to the dollar, down to the penny. So now that I got all the finances stuff out of the way, which Fred Katz broke down very lovely for us to understand, now let's talk about the actual player. Let's talk about Devin Booker and to see how he fits within the Knicks roster. So first and foremost, I want to bring up his numbers for last year. So as far as stats-wise, Devin Booker's numbers are really nice. 27 points, 4.5 rebounds, 6.9, which is basically 7 assists, converting 49.2% from the field. Three-point land, converting 36.4%, converting 88.6% from his free throws. That 49.2% from field goal land, that's the number that I'm really looking at. He basically hit half of all of his shots that he took in the 2023-2024 season. Devin Booker is a very interesting player because, like I said earlier in the video, he is 27. He's basically at the beginning of his prime. He has made all NBA teams. He's made it to the NBA Finals, losing to the Milwaukee Bucks in 6. So he kind of has all of the intangibles. He has the experience of leading a team to a deep playoff run. At that time, he had Chris Paul on his team. Chris Paul was the definitive leader on the team. But as far as skills, as far as talent, Devin Booker was unquestionably the best player. But now that we talked about what he has done in the league so far, up until this point in his career, let's talk about the impact that he has on his team. I feel like there's a really big line drawn in the sand with Devin Booker fans as far as like, can he be the best player on a team to win a championship? Now, that year when they went to the finals against the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't know if I can definitively say that Devin Booker was the best player on the team because Chris Paul was a starting point guard. And even though Devin Booker was leading the team in points, that doesn't mean that you're the best player on the team. Chris Paul, what he was able to bring to that team was the intangibles. Everybody knows, and Charles Barkley's favorite quote is that he is the best leader in the NBA. He's able to put everybody in their spots. But what Chris Paul is able to do back in those days, because at this point, playing with the Golden State Warriors and coming off the bench, he is kind of really on the downside of his career. But at that point with the Phoenix Suns, he was a starting point guard and he was able to put everybody in their place, but he was also able to provide some sort of offensive output. So those are the questions that you have to ask yourself with Devin Booker. But now, if we're in hypothetical land, let's place Devin Booker on this Knicks roster. Now, I don't know exactly who would be shipped out, who would be coming with Devin Booker in the trade, or if anybody's able to come with Devin Booker in the trade. More than likely, if the trade happens, Julius Randle 100% would have to be in that trade. They're probably going to be asking for OG. They're probably going to be asking for Isaiah Hartenstein. They're probably going to be asking for first-round picks. So I don't know exactly which players would be included in the trade. I don't know exactly how the money works. But hypothetically, let's just put Devin Booker alongside Jalen Brunson. How does that look? Well, Devin Booker, up until this point of his career, the only thing that he's proven to us is that he's definitely a ball-dominant type of player. In order for him to make an impact on the game, he needs the ball in his hand. And Devin Booker, up until this point of his career, he hasn't really proven to us that he's able to expand his game. He's able to make an impact on the game without scoring. The services that you're looking for from Devin Booker is to put the ball in the bucket. Now, if you pair him alongside Jalen Brunson, in my opinion, is also another ball-dominant guard. But Jalen Brunson's game is a little bit more expanded than Devin Booker. I feel like Jalen Brunson is going to be able to make his impact on the game in a lot more different areas rather than Devin Booker. But if you're asking me point blank, period, would I want to see a tandem of Jalen Brunson and Devin Booker? I'm not sure if I do want to see it. Now, would I be opposed to it? I don't think so. If you're offering me Devin Booker and Jalen Brunson over Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell, I'd actually take Devin Booker and Jalen Brunson. In my opinion, Donovan Mitchell, yeah, he's a great NBA player, bona fide all-star season after season. But you can point to the myriad of examples of Donovan Mitchell being the best player on your team. What has that gotten you? Besides his rookie season where he went to the second round against the Houston Rockets with the Utah Jazz, pretty much he's been first round and out. This season, they made it past the first round, and they ended up losing to Boston 5 games. But I believe Donovan Mitchell missed the last game or the last 2 games with the messed up calf muscle. So, yeah, Donovan Mitchell was one of, if not the bigger reasons why they were able to get to the second round, beating the Orlando Magic in 7 games in the first round. But for the type of hype, for the type of talk that Donovan Mitchell gets, I don't know if I'd want him on my team. I don't know if I'd want him to be one of the 2 best players on the team. Now, if Donovan Mitchell is certifiably the second best player on the team, we haven't really seen that from him in his career. Every stop that he's had, which has only been 2 places, Utah, he became the best player on the team. When he came to Cleveland, he automatically took over Darius Garland's spot, and that's part of the reason why Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland and the whole Cleveland Cavaliers organization haven't really been able to get going. Alongside Evan Mobley, he needs to expand his game. He really needs to develop some sort of shot. It doesn't have to be a 3-pointer. It could be a mid-range. But Evan Mobley, in my opinion, he hasn't become the player that he needs to be. He needs to develop some sort of shot in order to expand his game, and especially if Jarrett Allen's still going to be there. Jarrett Allen clogs up the paint. Jarrett Allen is there to finish up garbage plays, to dunk on everybody's head, to finish alley-oops, to set good screens, to get the blocks. And if Evan Mobley is clogging up the paint alongside Jarrett Allen, that doesn't really give Jarrett Allen a lot of room to operate. But going back to the whole Devin Booker and Jalen Brunson, like I said earlier, I would want to see Devin Booker and Jalen Brunson, but I don't know how excited I would be with that tandem. More than likely, this report or this article, whatever you want to call it, is just smoke and mirrors. I don't think there's really a lot of weight to it. Matt Ishbia, the current owner of the Phoenix Suns, the current new owner of the Phoenix Suns, he definitely had new owner syndrome where he got control of the team and he felt like he needed to make a splash. And the first move he made was picking up Kevin Durant and then Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. They ended up losing in 6 last season in the second round to the Denver Nuggets. And the only reason why they ended up losing in 6 was because Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, they absolutely went nuclear in game 3 and 4 when it was back in Phoenix. I believe Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, they averaged like 50% from the field or maybe even higher than that. And then after they got eliminated by Denver, then Matt Ishbia decided to make a really big splash with the trade with Bradley Beal. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out. And at this point, I don't really know what Matt Ishbia and the Phoenix Suns organization can really do. They don't have their first-round draft picks. Bradley Beal, who is on definitely the downside of his career, he's more of an injury-prone player now. I don't know what they can do, and which is the only thing that they can probably look at is trading pieces. And if you're Matt Ishbia, you got to be thinking, who can you get the most pieces for? And 100%, undoubtedly, it'd definitely be Devin Booker. He's the youngest of the core three. Kevin Durant, who's going to go down as a top 10 to top 15 player in NBA history, but he's 35 on the downside of his career. KD is one of my favorite players. I hate to say this about him, but I'm just talking reality. Kevin Durant, 35 on the downside of his career. Bradley Beal's an injury-prone player. Devin Booker out of the three is the only one left. And Devin Booker, who's 27, hitting his prime. You've got to be thinking about it if Matt Ishbia. So if Matt Ishbia is actually thinking about moving one of the three players and Devin Booker seems to be it, and then he gives the call to the Knicks and the Knicks have their ears open and they're willing to listen to the offer, then you never know. And on top of that, this offseason is just left and right with different reports, with different players talking about they might leave, Isaiah Hartenstein, OJ Anunoby. There's just a lot of moving pieces, and I'm recording this on a Monday morning, so tonight is Game 5 in Boston, which it looks like Boston's going to end it. And the contract extension negotiation talks between Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and the Knicks, they can start as soon as Boston finishes the series. So we got to see what happens with that, alongside with what I just said about OG and Isaiah Hartenstein. There's just a lot of moving pieces with the Knicks and what's the team going to look like next season. So we'll see what happens, but that's it for today's video, guys. I want to say thank you for checking it out. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about this Devin Booker report. Would you like to see Devin Booker paired alongside Jalen Brunson? But until next time, you know the drill, you know the vibes. Taj Gibson for president, Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs. The deuce is loose wherever you are, and I'll check you on the next video. Peace!